top. Let's go to Peel Region now. That's where police there, along with Mayor Patrick Brown, are updating their efforts to decrease 911 call times and misuse. Let's listen in.
We are grateful to have the opportunity to work on this land, and by doing so, give our respect to its first inhabitants. At the conclusion of this announcement, there will be an opportunity for questions. I would ask that you limit your questions specific to this news conference and limit your questions to one with one follow-up. A media officer can be available after the conference for any unrelated questions. A media release will be issued shortly after the conclusion of this conference and will include links to all the information provided here today. A full video of the conference will also be available on the Peel Regional Police YouTube channel. Today, we'll be hearing from the following speakers: Chair Nando Unica, Regional Chair and Chair of the Police Service Board, Mayor Patrick Brown of the City of Brampton, and Peel Regional Police Chief Nishan Duryappa. I'd further like to introduce Deputy Chief Anthony O'Doherty. I now invite Chair Unica to the podium. Chair.
Thank you very much. Sergeant, thank you, and good morning all. On behalf of my colleagues on the Police Services Board, it is a great pleasure to welcome you to today's press conference. I'd like to begin by acknowledging the membership or the attendance of my fellow members on the board, including Omar Khan. Omar, where are you? Thank you for being out today. And of course, Mayor Patrick Brown. Today marks a pivotal milestone in our collective efforts to enhance the safety and well-being of all residents across Peel. The 78% reduction in 911 waiting times is nothing short of remarkable. Let me say that again. A 78% reduction in the waiting time for 911 calls. It stands as a testament to the bold leadership, strategic planning, and the unwavering efforts of our police services and municipal partners. I would also be remiss if I didn't highlight the critical role that Mayor Brown played on this file as well. Mayor Brown has been our loudest and most consistent advocate for addressing these 911 wait times. His leadership has been instrumental in driving change, introducing motions, securing funding and resources, and shining a spotlight on the importance of the misuse of 911 calls. His passion and his leadership on the Police Services Board for ensuring that emergency services are both effective and accessible has been the foundation for the progress that we celebrate today. I also want to take this opportunity to commend Chief Duryappa and the dedicated members of Peel Regional Police. You know, it starts with leadership, and that starts from the top, and we have the finest leader in North America. He's also surrounded himself with the finest team in North America. And they approach the role progressively with innovation. They finally deliver, and they keep working towards what I call the technology dividend. And it just goes to show you that if you resource our services properly and you allow them to train, these are the success stories that follow. So Chief, a big shout out to you and your team as well. This achievement does exemplify what we can accomplish when we all tackle complex problems working together. It reflects the shared commitment of all partners, elected officials, the police services, and the community to keep Peel Regional Police safe and the community safe and secure. Looking ahead, the Police Services Board remains steadfast in our support of innovative approaches and the bold advocacy to ensure Peel continues to lead in public safety and service excellence. So I thank you so much for joining us today, and at this time I do want to call Mayor Brown forward to say a few words. Mayor Brown, welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Unica, and it's an exciting moment to be here to celebrate the success of the Peel Regional Police. You know, a year ago, Chief Nish was given a task: fix 911. And I'm a firm believer that if you give Chief Nish the resources to tackle a problem, he will solve that problem. And for me, this was a heartbreaking challenge in Peel Region. I remember getting a call from residents talking about wait times in 911. And I remember being flabbergasted at the fact that in a country as prosperous as Canada, that we had wait times as long as they were in 911. And when there's a problem, Usually that's very newsworthy. When something's broken, that makes news headlines. What I think equally should make news headlines is when a challenge is solved. And Chief Nish, Deputy Adwari, and the Peel Police have done an extraordinary job with the challenge that was presented to them. And I believe fundamentally it's through education, staffing, and new technology that was very innovative. And what got me involved and worried about this file was the story of the Diol family in Brampton, where there was a home invasion and they called 911 and there wasn't a communicator available. And this made headlines on Global and was shared in pretty much every WhatsApp group in our community. And we didn't really have answers. And I remember speaking to the chief and the deputy chief saying, how can we solve this? And the deputy chief was kind enough to take me to the 911 center with Al Bowden. I remember going on that tour, and boy, was it busy. There was not times for lunch breaks or even a coffee break. I remember being described to me, you don't know how busy Peel Region is. Now, this is not a 911 operations center in Sudbury or elsewhere. This is a busy, busy region. And what compounded that was the amount of misuse calls. The system wasn't where it needed to be. So when we talk about a 78% reduction, that's extraordinary. It shows that if you give Chief Nish the resources to solve a problem, he solves it. 78% a reduction in wait times means we're not going to hear about horrifying stories like we did from the Diol family. And if you have a home invasion in your home, you want someone to pick up right away. You want officers to come to the scene. And the changes that they have undertaken gives us that sense of safety. And a few things I wanted to underline. Thanks to the wisdom of Regional Council in supporting Chief Nish's budget, where we had a deficit of 54 communicators, we've been able to meet that deficit with new staffing, hiring old positions that were not staffed, but the 10 new communicators a year met the staffing need that was missing. The public awareness campaign on misuse calls. We heard stories about people calling for a pizza or a cricket game. We've seen a massive decline in those misuse calls. But what is really behind this success story is the fact that Chief Nish and his team have always said, we're going to be on the leading edge of technology. And credit to Deputy Chief Adwari. I continue to say when it comes to police technology, I think he's the smartest mind in the country. And hearing about the next generation 911 system, my understanding is that we were one of the first police forces in the country to adopt this new technology. And it really is incredible. And I brought some notes about how the system works. The automated abandoned callback and 911 call screening are two new procedures designed to effectively manage excess call volumes into the public safety answering point. The automated abandoned callback technology will immediately call back a caller that dialed 911 and hung up. The caller will be able to choose to connect to 911 if there's an emergency or cancel the call if that is called by accident. And past 911 communicators were required to manually call back each 911 hang-up, which contributed to delays. I'm pleased with this work because obviously it's made a difference. The investment in new technology, the investment in new staffing has really returned peace of mind to our residents to know that if they call 911, there's going to be someone on the other end of the phone ready to help. So on behalf of the City of Brampton and also as a member of the Police Services Board, I just want to thank Chief Nish and his team. When presented a problem, they hit it out of the park. This is such peace of mind for our residents. I can't tell you the amount of calls I got of concern a year ago. And I don't think anyone would have expected that it would be solved this quickly. When we looked at those wait times, I think ambitiously, people thought might have taken several years to solve this. But the fact that Chief Nish and Deputy Adwari have solved it in a year is absolutely incredible. And I hope just as much attention is given to the success, the 78% reduction as was given to some of the unfortunate incidents we saw a year ago with the wait time. So once again, well done, Peel Police. With the right resources, they can solve any public safety challenge in Peel Region.
Thank you, Chair and Mayor Brown. Thank you all for attending here, and good morning to everyone. I just want to say on behalf of Peel Regional Police, Chair Unica, Mayor Brown, and also Mayor Parrish, who was not able to attend, and our Peel Police Services Board have been significantly behind this work that the team has accomplished here at Peel Police. And if you recall, and I just ask you to go back 1 year from now and look at the social media campaign, the public education that we did to highlight the pressures that were happening here in Peel Region, it's incumbent upon us to come back to you and to the public to tell you what's happened since. And that's what today is about. It's the ability for us to tell you that we continue to try to serve our community in the best way possible, and we've seen outcomes as a result of it. And I do have Deputy Chief Anthony O'Doherty in charge of our innovation technology, who will be here to speak to any questions that are technical, obviously, in implementation. But as you heard earlier this morning, 911 call times have decreased, and we're almost up to the 80% mark, which builds on, even in 2023, before the year concluded, a 17% reduction in times. And the mayor is right. This is about people, education, and technology that have seen an impact. It's now, listen, waiting on hold on 911 by any means is not acceptable, but to see us down from over 1.5 minutes, 2 minutes average time to now to 14 seconds is quite a remarkable change here. And it would not have been possible without the education campaigns. You know, Mayor's right. We talked about somebody calling 911 to say that their Tim Hortons coffee was cold, or that there was a cat stuck in the window. Meanwhile, people are backed up in the queue, suffering from real emergencies in our community that needed to get to us. So today I'm gonna explain to you a little bit about why and how this happened. Things like the concept of next generation 911. But I want to be clear, right now while we're doing this press conference, there are women and men in our 911 communications center. We call them the first of the first responders, are doing remarkable work, and without the women and men in there and the team behind this, we would never be in this position. So I do want to acknowledge that the Ministry of the Solicitor General was critical in funding some of the implementation of our next generation 911. And this was through telecommunications and provincial and federal related activities that are happening. Here in Peel, our public safety answering point, we call it a PSAP, is one of the largest in Canada. And we receive probably roughly 1 million calls a year. But we have to employ best practices to make sure we pick up the phone and eventually get you a first responder. We take all the calls for all 3 fire departments, their paramedics, and our police officers through a call center. And so earlier this year, our service, thank you for the investment and support from our board and regional council, was the first largest police service to implement Next Generation 911. It's called NG 911. The new system is actually federally legislated by CRTC, and the implementation has multiple phases over a period of years that every police agency in Canada needs to comply with. And it is intended to allow the public to get us information in ways that allow first responders to get to them faster. Ultimately, we in Peel were the first to proceed with that. Our goal is not only to turn down the dial on risk, but to stay ahead of the curve. And in this case, we were successfully able to implement multiple features, one of which the mayor mentioned is an automated abandoned callback feature. We have had 75,000 hang-up calls and misuse calls. And if you can imagine, it took a heartbeat, somebody to pick up the phone and call every individual back just to make sure they're okay. And all of us know how easy it might be, depending on your technology platform, to call 911 by accident. But our technology has allowed us to have automated callbacks to discern whether it's a valid emergency or not. And this has eliminated the need not only for us to call everybody back, but for 5 additional people who were doing that 24/7. Instead, those 5 people are able to reorient their interests to make sure we're getting to the 911 calls we need to. In short, this is an example how technology has allowed us to serve the ever-growing needs of Peel Region. And we're the first to say this is one of the fastest-growing municipalities in Canada. And what that means for incoming calls to 911 is compounding that. But Peel being in that space also means that we do want to be innovative and use state-of-the-art technology to help our biggest assets, which are our first responders, to do their work that they're so good at. The future here at Peel looks continuing to be very promising. One of the elements that we've done at our state-of-the-art communication center is implement a community safety operations center. It's called a CSOP. And if you look at Minority Report and you see the screens all across TVs, many municipalities have these emergency operations centers, but we have aggregated that space to make sure that we use these technologies to coordinate resources better. We actually use live streaming of video coming into these areas to coordinate social service, not-for-profit responders to help us mitigate risk in the community. But it also allows us to identify vulnerable missing people. We've had the success of not only staffing large-scale events and protests, but finding Alzheimer's individuals and arresting criminals and mitigating crimes in progress. So the launch of NG 911, the increase of staff here at Peel Police has assisted us with the concurrent public education. You can still drive around Peel Region and see the bus stops and the signs that have education pieces on how to use 911 appropriately. As a result, within 1 year, we've seen a tremendous outcome.
You've been listening live to Peel Regional Police's Chief Nishan Duriappa talking about the fact that Peel Region has seen a 78% reduction when it comes to 911 call wait times. The average call was previously 1.5 to 2 minutes. That's now gone down to roughly 14 seconds. And they say technology and leveraging technology has played a big role in doing just that.